So if you're wise, if you're mature, and you like retaining, I've got a really important and reassuring message for you to hear. And it's actually a really nice message. The message is, dude, you're not always going to be retaining. You're not always going to be retaining. It can be easy to slip into this like low consciousness idea that you should always be retaining forever in this perpetual state of retention. Dude, drop that. It's actually quite immature. What I recommend is to accept and understand with wisdom, not always going to be retaining. That's cool. Now, let's get into a couple reasons why. Because it's not just, you just don't, you want to be ideally retaining as much as you can. I personally recommend you retain like most of the time. That works for me a lot, right? But why would we not be retaining? I've got a couple of reasons, let's explore them. The first reason is nocturnal emissions, nightfalls. I haven't actually spoken about these on the channel much, and there's a good reason for it. I want to create dedicated videos where I really explain why these happen and how to not have them. Because if you do retention a lot, man, you will see that these can happen, and they can be really annoying, right? So that's one reason. The second reason, I've written these down. If you're with a partner and you're practicing non-ejaculatory sex, tantric sex, Karezza sex, you may end up just releasing because you can't control that energy in that moment. You may end up just, releasing. That's okay. That's okay. Those moments happen on this path, man. It's good to remember that that's okay. The third reason why you may not always be retaining is because, dude, you just may release. You may fall into a lower state, a more lustful state. You may be with someone, you may be on your own. You may release your energy. Now, if you know me, man, you know that I always recommend 100% to never do that with PMO, by which I mean pornography. Keep that out of the picture always. That is a must. But sometimes, man, it happens where you just want to release. And listen, I'll be completely real with you. That's okay, man. If you want to do that, there's nothing in the universe that says, hey, you can't release your energy. No, man, you can do that if you really want to. The idea is, and the practice that we're doing here, is do that less. Be conscious. Retain that, transmute that energy, convert it into ojas, convert it into life force. Be happier and better off because you're conserving and retaining and controlling that energy. But if you happen to release it, that's okay, man. Not the end of the world. But as you know, you're going to be better off if you retain. The fourth reason why you may not always be retaining is because sometimes you may need to reset. Now, I don't do this one as much anymore. It used to be the case for me that in order to have balance, inward balance, energetic balance so you're not feeling super heavy or just loaded with sexual energy, was to release every now and then, perhaps every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whenever is good for you. And I would do this and then I would build myself back up. Now, I don't do this as much. I've actually broken through to a new sort of threshold where I kind of just retain most of the time. However, part of my journey, part of the process of becoming, of evolving on this retention path was to release sometimes when I needed that balance, when I need to reset. This may happen to you and this may be the case for you, man. If it is, that's okay. Remember, you're not always going to be retaining. Now, does this mean that you should, not aim high or not look to retain as much as you can? No, of course not, man. You want to be retaining as much as you can. You're going to have a lot of benefits if you do. The reason I'm sharing this, man, is because it's been on my mind. I would need someone to tell me, dude, you're not always going to be retaining, and that's okay. And that's why I'm sharing it with you, man, because I believe in sharing what the higher self wants to share. I feel like it's my higher self that's saying this, my inner wisdom, and I think it's quite a reassuring message, to be honest with you, man. So, to wrap up, remember this. Remember that it's not the end of the world if you're not always retaining. Definitely, set your standards high, man. Definitely, raise raise the bar. But don't be tripping if, you release and you're like, oh man, what have I done? No. You're not always going to be retaining, man. That's cool, man. Okay? Have some perspective. Have some perspective. All right, man. that is going to be it for me. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you like more content, feel free to subscribe. Otherwise, my friend, peace.